All right, let's dive in with the two-time Super Bowl champ Bryant McFadden and CBS NFL analyst and draft analyst Ryan Wilson. Guys, you know this franchise well, and you know how they perform in the biggest moments, even when they need some help to keep the playoff hopes alive. Those hopes continue here, as they would have been gone if it were a loss for Pittsburgh, but that is not the case. I want to talk about Kenny Pickett specifically here, B-Mac. 2 straight weeks, fourth quarter drives, late in games. Answering the question of if you have the guy here pretty resoundingly. What'd you make of Pickett's performance specifically in the final few minutes?
Another big-time performance from your young quarterback. You talk about that fourth quarter drive last week against the Raiders, right? Clearly, they needed every bit of production he was able to give them in that ball game. Once again, he delivered. Huge fourth quarter drive, game-winning drive to say the least. You look at his ability to buy time, get outside of the pocket, hitting some big-time passes to his pass catchers. Look at that catch. Once again, George Pickens continues to showcase what type of stud he is. But yeah, the young quarterback is growing. He is growing before our eyes. I know Mike Tomlin is excited about what he's seen from number 8. You look at what they have going clearly this year, but when you talk about the future, I mean, when you look at the quarterback position and how uncertain it is for some organizations, it seemed to be they found their right guy in Kenny Pickett, and they have one more left in store in regards to the regular season to try to find a way to get into the tournament, but I like their chances.
Exactly, B-Mac. I think you hit on all the high points when it comes to Kenny Pickett. And it wasn't the case that as a young quarterback, he was struggling over the first 3 quarters of this football game. They were leaning on the run and relying on their defense. They knew it was going to be a slugfest. That's exactly what it turned out to be. They needed Kenny Pickett on that final drive, and we just saw the highlights. He made play after play after play. Found his tight end, Pat Freiermuth. Found Steve Sims on the longest catch of his season for the Steelers. And then that touchdown throw where he avoided JPP on the outside, got to his left, hit Najee Harris in stride as he beat Roquan Smith, which is no easy task, got both feet down on a tough catch. And that seems to be, and B-Mac can tell you this better than anyone, how the Steelers win games in the last few weeks of the regular season when their back's up against the wall. The improbable becomes probable. They make plays that seem like could never happen over the first 45 minutes of a football game. And it starts with Kenny Pickett. I'll be honest, he was not my number 1 QB in last year's draft class. I thought he was more like a second-round pick. He has played up to the level and beyond the level of what Mike Tomlin has expected these last 2 weeks in particular. And now, as B-Mac mentions, you got one more game to go. You're playing the Browns, who aren't a very good football team, and you have everything on the line. So I expect this Steelers team that we saw tonight to show up again next Sunday for the biggest game of their season so far.
The playoff equation for the Steelers would be beating Hakeem Dermish's Browns and losses by both the Bills and the Jets. So they need to win, and they need to get some help. But when you talk about getting that win, that would also keep another streak alive, and that would be winning seasons under Mike Tomlin. 500 or better in his tenure here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A win would be 9-8. B-Mac, how do they continue to do it time and again, season after season, a coach you played for? How does he continue to get the most out of teams the way we're seeing right now over this current winning streak?
Well, Joe, he's the ultimate leader. And in regards to being a coach, specifically speaking, being a head coach, it's not just about the X's and O's. We know that's extremely important, but as a head coach, if you can't lead, if you can't make guys, men believe they can go through a brick wall at any given time, good luck in being successful. Good luck in being successful in a consistent rate. And that's who he is as a coach. He understands the X's and the O's. Very, very strategic, super instinctive. But in regards to leadership, you hear his sound bites all the time. He get you guys fired up by just listening to him talk during his pressers. That's who he is. So what he does is he gets you to believe in everything that he's saying, and you buy into it. Regardless if you have any money or not, you're buying into everything that he's selling you guys because his leadership skills are top notch. He understands the game of football. He's a great motivator, and he's a guy that coaches with energy. He's involved in the game. So that's why we're seeing an outstanding coaching career from Mike T because of his ability to lead. And then when you combine that with the X's and O's, you shouldn't be surprised to see the success that you're seeing right now.
More chips falling here following this loss. With the loss by the Ravens, the door now open for Cincinnati to take care of business on Monday night against the Bills and lock up that division. As we sort of turn towards Ryan, the Ravens side of the equation here, once again, struggling to move the ball. Defense stands stout, but not in the biggest moment of the football game. How much of a difference will Lamar Jackson make when he is reintroduced to this team? There will be a reacclimation process. He's obviously a better option than Tyler Huntley is. That goes without saying. But how much of a difference can he make? Can he inject enough into this team to make them a true contender?
Night and day is the difference that Lamar Jackson makes when he's healthy. And you're exactly right, Joe, that he needs to get reacclimated because he hasn't played in a while. And look, no disrespect to Tyler Huntley, who beat the Steelers along with Anthony Brown together the last time these teams met for the first go-round in the regular season. But Tyler Huntley is not Lamar Jackson. No one on planet Earth is Lamar Jackson. This offense that Greg Roman's put together is built around Lamar being on the field. Now, Tyler Huntley did a lot of things well tonight, primarily throwing the ball to Mark Andrews, which sounds easier sometimes than it appears to be. The running game got going, but when the game is on the line, when you need to make a play, Tyler Huntley threw an interception in the middle of the field to one of the Steelers' best players, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Lamar Jackson, maybe he does that. Most likely he doesn't. And while Tyler Huntley is certainly mobile, he is not nearly as mobile as Lamar Jackson, doesn't understand the intricacies of this offense like Lamar does. And I think the bigger issue, and you sort of touched on it, Joe, is that even if Lamar comes back, how long with that knee injury is he 90% Lamar, 95% Lamar, even 100%? Does it happen in a week? Does it happen in 2 weeks? Does it happen in a month, in which case the season's over? So there are a lot of questions the Ravens need to answer. This is the fourth game they've lost, by the way, when leading by double digits, and that has to be a concern. Most of those games came early in the season, but priority number one, get Lamar back. Priority number two, worry about everything else after you get Lamar back. But we're not at that point in the conversation. But they certainly need him. They need him now. They'll probably have to wait a week, maybe two.
All right, let's see if I can get a straight answer out of Bryant McFadden here. Is this team a contender with 100% Lamar back in the fold? Ryan Wilson giving us great information there. And yes, he makes a world of difference, does Lamar Jackson. But is this team with 100% Lamar Jackson a contender this year in your eyes, B-Mac?
No, sir. They're not. I think they're just an in-the-way team. They're just standing in the way of a contender. The reason why I say that is because before the injury, it wasn't like this team was causing a lot of hell on the offensive end with a healthy Lamar Jackson. When he's in the lineup, it's Lamar Jackson and everyone else. He's asked to do so much. So now you're telling me, a guy who's missed, the last 4 to 5 ball games, I don't expect to see Lamar Jackson play next week. Maybe he plays, but I think they may be saving him for the playoff run. Being away from the game, we know he will be rusty. We know the rhythm and the chemistry might not be there. So it's going to take some time. But get this, you don't have time in the playoffs. So to answer your question, no, they're not a contender. The Cincinnati Bengals, they have surpassed the Baltimore Ravens in the division alone. That's why they have a great chance in winning in the division. They have been surging on the offensive side of things. Defensively, they definitely have improved. I like their chances. Then when you talk about the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs, that's another topic of discussion. Heck, look at what we're seeing from the surging Chargers, right? Looking at the growth that we're seeing with them, especially getting healthy, there are 4 teams that I would pick over the Baltimore Ravens right now, with Lamar Jackson returning, based on anticipating seeing some rustiness. And then if you factor in what we saw from Lamar when he was healthy in the lineup, it wasn't like they were just blowing people out of the window.
All right, final word here going to our Ryan Wilson. I'll pose it once again. Yes or no, contender?
No, for the reasons B-Mac said. He's exactly right.
Fair enough. Gentlemen, great work as always. The Steelers come away with the W here against the Ravens. And all of the chips that fall from there, we'll figure it out in Week 18. Thank you, fellas. Here's a look at those two quarterbacks, Kenny Pickett, Tyler Huntley. Similar numbers here. Pickett threw it a little bit more. Huntley with a touchdown and an interception. It was the interception that sealed the deal late in this game. Minkah Fitzpatrick putting it to bed as the Steelers, well, they're not going to sleep just yet.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.